is up, my ninjas? This is Strident, and I am finally back with another review. This is actually a combination of new and old stuff. The first review is going to be of the DC Direct JLA, the Ed McGuiness style JLA, what was it, JLA Classified I think it was called, Martian Manhunter. In my opinion, the best Martian Manhunter figure they've ever made. And I mean, you already know that if it's a DC Direct figure, there's not a lot of posability involved. But just based on the scale and based on the musculature and the imposing nature of the figure, and then the semi-heroic look that he has, you know, just his expression, he's very determined and everything, it's awesome. The other review is the Marvel Select Hulk figure, the one done by Gentle Giant Studios, the same people who did, well, I think it's Gentle Giant, same people who did the Juggernaut earlier this year or end of last year, whatever. Awesome figure, really well detailed. They got the whole monster thing going on. So I'm gonna go and, you know, in detail and show you guys what I think is cool about both figures. So stay tuned. So first we got my boy, the Martian Manhunter. I was not a big fan of Martian Manhunter growing up. I always thought he was a powerful character, but I always hated his design. I thought he looked like a giant stripper or something, you know? And it was weird because then the Justice League cartoon came out, and then I was like, wow, okay, this guy's kind of likable. I dig him. And the design kind of grew on me, and the fact that I understood his powers a little bit better, because he wasn't really featured in a lot of comics back in the day. Not a lot of the mainstream DC stuff, at least not when I was growing up. Or maybe I couldn't afford it, I don't know. But I didn't see him in many of my JLA books. It seemed like those books were populated by the more popular characters. But anyway, the figure is awesome because you can see that he fits in perfectly with the League, and it doesn't matter what version of you know, figures you have, except for maybe the Alex Ross ones. He fits in. I mean, the style that they chose to mimic, which was Ed McGuinness' style, it fits, you know, a big character. And the cool thing about that is, because he is a bigger character, that cartoony, overly muscular style that McGuiness seems to apply to everyone, it actually works for him, and it doesn't make him look like he doesn't fit in at all, which is kind of what I said in the beginning. I'm kind of repeating myself, sorry. But I didn't really dig the majority of those figures. I bought everyone except for Superman and Batman when they first dropped, and I think McGuinness' style worked really well for Wonder Woman, and it worked really well for, especially well actually for like Jon Stewart and the Manhunter. But you know, after having Flash, who is a little bit smaller than the others as far as his, you know, the size of his arms and legs and whatnot, I was kind of like, man, he's a little too muscular for, you know, my taste. But at the time, that was the best Wally West I could find. But anyway, back to the Manhunter. Manhunter stands in the 6-7 inch range. You know, I think he's about 7.5 inches tall. He's a heavy figure. He's not hollow plastic. The sculpt is very well done. It's actually a little bit more detailed than McGuinness's work, which I love because, like I said, this is what lends to him actually being able to be displayed with your other DC Universe characters. You know, it's kind of funny because when I started collecting the DC superheroes figures, I already had this figure, and I was like, you know, this is the only Martian Manhunter that I need for this figure. And then I kept reading on message boards that they need a Martian Manhunter, they need a Martian Manhunter, and I'm like, didn't you guys see this one? I think this sculpt, this is one of the few characters that DC Direct found a style that to me is the best representation of the character, even better than what the Horsemen have been doing. But anyway, he's well sculpted. There's a symbol. You can see there's some, like, the paint faded because it's an old figure. But here he is in comparison to Collect and Connect Atom Smasher and the Batman Legacy Batman. And you can see he's pretty damn big, you know. The details are minimum, but they are all the details that are actually on this character. They actually captured the way he is supposed to look and the way he is properly represented. his musculature is a little bit exaggerated, but I mean, he's a shapeshifter. If I was a shapeshifter, I'd give myself ridiculous guns too, you know? So, yeah, his muscles are ridiculously huge. His articulation's really limited. He's got the ball socket joints on his shoulders, and his head is on a swivel. His elbow swivels, or he's got an elbow bending joint, and same thing on his knees, same thing on the hips, and I don't think his waist can turn. So he's limited, but he's a big guy. I want him to hit hard. So all in all, this figure is a must-have if you can find him for cheap. He's been released a couple times. He shouldn't be that hard to get, I think that, this is the best to date Martian Manhunter figure. It beats the shit out of the DC Universe Classics Martian Manhunter. So if you see him, pick him up. You will not be sorry. So now we're going to move on to the other green guy in the review, which is the Marvel Select Hulk. The main thing I have to say about this guy is he is massive. The thing about him that I noticed immediately is he's not quite as heavy as the Juggernaut, but he is still a huge figure. He's taller than the Juggernaut, which, that's how I imagined him. And what I dig the most is the fact that, when you saw old artwork, actually when you see any artwork of the Hulk, he always towers above the rest of the team. Well, there's the team, and he towers above them a whole, 2 heads and 2 sets of shoulders, you know what I mean? It's like, that's the way it's supposed to be, just like how Marvel Select's Thor towers over the Marvel Legends Captain America. I'm like, that's what I've always wanted, and I've never had a Hulk figure for this reason. I always felt like they've never gotten it correct. So, kudos to Diamond Marvel Select and Gentle Giant, or whoever it is that sculpted this figure. There's a size comparison so you can see what I'm talking about, like him and Juggernaut. They're both big, massive characters, where Juggernaut is huge. If you actually want to make Juggernaut punch your Hulk, I don't know, Juggernaut might knock him out. There he is next to my Wolverine with the claws that are still in production. I'm still figuring out, I'm sanding it down. I need to sand it down with my Dremel. But anyway, Wolverine is a runt, and the Hulk is humongous. There's Juggernaut and the Hulk about to rumble. It's just one of those times where they got the scale. I'm big on scale. After collecting the Soda Street Fighter figures, scale is so important that it has to work. And when I say scale, I'm not talking about the scale of every other artist's version of the character. I'm talking about the best representations, in my opinion, because I am an artist. And if I drew the Hulk, I would want him this big. Juggernaut, same way. Like Marvel vs. Capcom, that's the perfect size. Here he is in comparison to Atom Smasher. You can see he's huge. Atom Smasher's tall, but he's not quite as Diesel, and that's the problem that I have with the DC Universe Classics Collect and Connects. They need to break the scale, get them buff and huge, and stop just making them tall. I mean, they gave us a few bad guys that fit that mold, but we need more heroes that are jacked. It just needs to happen. So anyway, the figure's nice. I mean, here he is compared to Colossus, Marvel Legends. You know how much I have issues with that Colossus because I don't feel it's the best representation. Maybe the Marvel Select Colossus is better. Somehow I feel, though, that he'd be a very light figure. But the paint on this Hulk figure is nice. I mean, as you can see, he is a monster. He's tall. They got all the rips and tears in his pants, although the pants, they seem enormous considering how small Bruce Banner would have been and how big the Hulk is, but that's me being a dork. The face, it's a cool face, but I'm not really a big fan of it, I actually liked the Marvel Legend 2-pack Hulk a lot better. I know that the design is a little bit more anime, but I love this musculature, and the face just fits. I mean, when you think Hulk, you think like Frankenstein almost, with the flat top head and the hair just kind of hanging over. I mean, it's either this or it's the movie, the newer movie version, but I dig this version's face better. Actually, this was my first choice for a Hulk toy, but I could never find him. I think I saw him once when I wasn't looking for him. Here's another size comparison. You see how he's really close in scale to the Icons, or Marvel Legends Icon series Hulk. but he towers way over all the rest of the Hulks and the Hulkbuster armor. I just dig the fact that they made him so massive. His freaking arms are huge. I mean, his arms are like the size of the average, actually they're bigger than the average Marvel Legends figure, actually bigger than some of the DCUC figures. My only gripe has to do somewhat with paint. I like the overall paint job, but I hate the dry brush technique they did for the dark spots. The sculpt is good enough. When light hits certain areas, it'll create shadow because he's got enough surfaces and enough areas that bump up, that are swollen, that it'll cast shadows. So you don't need to paint dark colors underneath that stuff. That's my only, that and articulation. I feel like big characters don't need a ton of articulation. So, in that respect, it's pretty good, but the type of articulation they gave him, I don't like. I never liked swivel joints in, like, where the elbow connects to the bicep. Just give us a simple bend. We don't need a swivel down there. Give us the swivel up at the shoulder, But you can see, there's lots of detail throughout this figure. He seems like he'd be pretty durable. I mean, I still feel he's not as durable as, the Juggernaut. Let's see if the Abomination is a little bit better. That's the next one on the list, because you gotta have somebody for the Hulk to tussle with, and that Marvel Legends one wasn't cutting it. And I'm not buying a red Hulk because it's just garbage, but I do want, possibly, I'd like to get a gray Hulk, because he looks like a lot of what I just said they needed to do was done with him, except for the no bend in his legs. But I don't know, this figure just fits perfectly with my Avengers team. It's awesome that he finally looks the part. I was a big fan of Ultimates, so when I saw this, it looked like it was a little bit better, more well done or better done than the Gray Hulk from the Ultimates. So I figured, hey, my team is a mixed match, may as well just mix match it up some more and throw in the old school Green Hulk. So there you have it. Pick it up if you see him. He's $20 still. I think I paid $21 for him. As usual, you've been great. I will hit you guys back with another review later. And as always, check out my website. Peace.